program was designed so people could, in a couple of years, complete all the requirements short of a dissertation. It was designed for working people, and it was designed for people with at least 5 years experience in adult education. So it was selective to begin with people who are real professionals and who have spent a lot of time working at it.
AEGIS stands for Adult Education Guided Intensive Study. So, and it definitely is reflective that it's guided and it's intensive.
The idea behind our program is we're developing scholar practitioners. We want them to be thoughtful leaders that continue to contribute to the knowledge base of the field.
The really nice thing about AEGIS is that people can come in and work in an area of practice that they feel passionate about.
From a time standpoint, you can continue to work and you can continue to do some other things and actually go through the formal coursework. But our adult learning and leadership programs are great.
Our program has the privilege of being the first graduate program of study in adult education in the United States. There have been people here at this institution at Columbia University like John Dewey, who's very central to the thinking of learning from experience in adult education.
It's a program that is leading to a EDD in adult education, and it draws people from a wide range of different practice areas and different practice domains. The thing that everybody has in common is that in one way or another they're involved with learning and trying to work with adults in a learning environment, and it may be at the organizational group, individual level, and they're all individuals who are very interested in drawing from the experience of people in different fields.
We have created a mission statement for ourselves that focuses on transformative learning, incorporates experiential learning and reflective practice, which we do a lot of work on in our current faculty, and also incorporates the fact that the individual and his or her learning is situated in a variety of increasingly larger social settings, groups, organizations, communities, society, the world.
Transformative learning refers to the kind of learning in which people become critically reflective of their own assumptions that they've taken for granted, which has led to their beliefs and values and sense of self. Most of us take for granted these things and feel strongly about some of them, but never look critically and objectively at how we acquired them and whether they were really justified to begin with. There is need for people to understand, to learn how to think for themselves. I don't know how else you help somebody think for yourself, except to help them become critically reflective of their own assumptions. And the whole idea is to try to work with the learner to collaborate in understanding something and to help them use their initiative to overcome obstacles that they had to deal with. We group people deliberately around tables of 6 because we wanted them to learn another dimension of transformative learning, and that is how to discourse, how you can engage people constructively in trying to solve a problem. And that was another dimension of what I interpreted as transformative learning.
Qualitative studies and qualitative research is really the hallmark of the program, and for a good reason. And that is that if we're trying to ask people to examine or re-examine their world, then what we want to do is advocate for research that gives or conveys the words of their subjects. So this is an EDD degree, so it's primarily practitioner research dealing with real-world problems. And while one could always construct a survey to get at some dimensions or factors that are significant in real-world problems, chances are that the very development of those instruments reflects the bias of the researcher. And what qualitative research does is say, let me enter the phenomenological world of the subject and explore this problem, honoring their view and grappling with it, and really getting a flavor for what is truly happening, which we believe as qualitative research we can only get by dialogue.
I mean, when you came out of this program, you could look anybody in the eye and tell them that you had really done it. I mean, you had really been involved with hard research.
Really is guided towards certain kinds of standards that are required in a graduate program of adult education in Columbia University.
What is an important academic capacity, and one of the things we try to look for, is the ability to be able to think conceptually and to be able to integrate ideas in an effective way, be able to work from data and be able to build conceptually.
Compared to the traditional program, the students in AEGIS are relatively more experienced, both in terms of their professional backgrounds. They sign up for that intense format, so I think they're willing to do what it takes to make it work.
I think people who are in the Fast Track AEGIS program have to have a learning style that is suited to being able to do a lot of work intensively, come in, come out, pick up the thread a month later, and learn a lot of that and keep themselves going on their own.
Formal requirements are to have 40 accredited graduate credits. Now, they do not have to be in adult education. You get the additional 50 credits that you need to complete the 90 required for the doctorate by going through our coursework here over the course of 2 years in that third summer. So that's the first requirement, and it has to be from an accredited graduate institution, and you have to have at least a B or better.
It's a pass or fail program, so it takes a lot of the competitiveness out in terms of grades. We're not competing against student. It's really how can we help each other become the best that we possibly can in our field.
A cohort at its base level is a group of people who are going to go through this experience as a group, and it's a group of about 19 experienced professionals in one sense. The common thread is that they all in one way or another involve working around issues of learning with adults.
You have folks from the corporate world, and you have folks from social action and higher education, and there's this thread that's woven between all the different functional areas that we come from all the different disciplines. So it's amazing, and I think they do a masterful job of choosing the participants in the cohort, because everyone brings something unique to the table.
We came to know each other so well in our personal situations. We became like a family.
Having colleagues going through a similar experience, I think, is what helps people make it, and that level of support is invaluable.
That kind of mix in one room, going for a shared purpose, is a really wonderful experience.
There was often very earnest debate that went on, but we can't think of any instance, even one instance, when we showed disrespect to one another. The respect was just incredibly deep, and the amount of fun we had is legendary. It was a matter of co-inquiry, learning together, not one imparting knowledge and the other serving as a receptacle, but there was interaction always.
I couldn't have anticipated it would have been as stimulating and as rewarding as it was.
The biggest challenge you have to face is how do you manage your time and the workload. One of the interesting aspects of the program is that you're on essentially a fast track with a lot of information being thrown at you at one time to move you through the program, and you still have to do all the work essentially, but in a compressed period of time. And so the challenge is, how do you figure that out? How do you sit back and evaluate how you're going to do that, how you're going to stay on top of the coursework, and then eventually when you get to your dissertation, which I like to equate to the metaphor of a marathon, how do you then transition from the coursework to the dissertation? And the biggest challenge is first managing the coursework, and then the second challenge is managing the dissertation.
They're trying to keep very challenging jobs going. They have families, and they're also in a doctoral program, and the coursework is the same as if you were in the regular program. It's not a part-time program. Even though you don't have as many classroom hours, the workload is expected to be the same.
liberating as we'd like to promote the program as, there are still hard and fast rules about certain things, including attendance, submitting work on time, not being able to carry more than one incomplete, passing certification exam, developing a successful proposal. These are all things that one must do.
One thing that happens in AEGIS, whether it's through classes that are not research-based, and in particular classes that are research-based, is that everything that you do is a continuous draft. That you start a paper, you get some feedback, you generally are going to have to do a revision or two. I realized it was actually great conditioning for the dissertation process.
An important part of the process, in addition to our coursework and the dissertation, is going through the doctoral certification process. That's a two-part process in our program. First is doing a literature review. It's a qualifying paper that involves taking relevant research and theory and applying it to a practical problem, demonstrating the ability to make that kind of link between theory and practice. The second part of it is a all-day written exam that takes place either the second or third Saturday in August, and that's a essay format. When you pass both parts of the certification process, you then move, in terms of the university, you move from being a doctoral student to being a doctoral candidate, which means now you can start working on a proposal for your dissertation. And you can, at any point that your advisor and your committee feels that it's appropriate, you can then officially file a dissertation proposal with the Office of Doctoral Studies.
After the formal coursework, life eases back in. Your family really think that you're done. Your friends think that you're done. Your boss thinks you're done. And in essence, you're really just beginning because everything that happens from that point forward is really on you. The dissertation process is both art and science, and so the science is what you get in your research classes, and that probably would get you about 75 to 80% of the way. But there's this nebulous 15 to 20% that's a process of self-discovery and co-creation with your advisor that the methodological literature doesn't necessarily address because it highlights the unique features of your study, and that's the art.
Once people complete their coursework for the degree, they are on their own, more or less, around dissertation work. The 7900 is a seminar that meets once a month in the fall and once a month in the spring semester, so 4 times each semester. The support mechanism that we put in place in order to help them stay on track and get the kind of additional support they need academically.
The final dissertation hearing itself is a very rigorous affair here at Columbia. Bracing, I might add, rigorous, I might say, but just a very rewarding capstone on all the research that had been done, and wonderful questions asked during the defense.
It helps you strip away layers of yourself as a learner and yourself as an educator, and reconstruct the pieces in a way that's only beneficial to others.
I help design adult education programs for corporations. I knew what I was talking about. I had language to describe to them very persuasively, precisely what we had to offer them, why education in the workplace is important, and how they would benefit. Not that you would have not only a happier employee, but that probably productivity and their commitment to the organization would increase as well.
I'm kind of the person that my staff comes to for direction and guidance around model and theory and thinking and training and development. And so for me, I was looking for an opportunity to sort of be a student myself and to learn and to gain more knowledge and experience. I'm anxious to come back and share with them bits and pieces of things that I think will be beneficial as we move forward with some of the projects that we currently have working on. So, yeah.
By a corporation organization being able to critically think about its assumptions and critically think about the way it operates in the world changes the way it may do business in the future and the way they may communicate to the outside world.
I also thought that it was it would make a difference well, in how I was regarded professionally, and I have to say that you know, it has. It makes a difference to have your doctorate.
We're very committed to building theory, but to building theory that's really useful to practice and to improving practice. And I think we're motivated by helping adults and institutions around the learning that it either provides for or supports adults, either as consumers of it or often as people who work in organizations who do other things but who themselves are learners, whether that be schools or corporations or whatever they might be, that we're very committed to and excited about how you can keep helping people and organizations grow to their fullest capacity.
What the experience afforded them was a way of thinking about themselves that is very proactive and self-authoring, and I'd like to think proactive in terms of making a difference in the world.
So the art of asking questions, the art of having the ability to use inquiry and to help people really discover the answers to their questions that are lying dormant, so they're there, but it's just a way to bring them to the forefront, I think was an unexpected benefit of just the whole inquiry and research process. And you know it's true when executives say things to you like, you know, when I talk to you I get great insight. I used to think this process was going to allow me to be a content expert, and it really doesn't. What it allows me to be is a process expert. It really helps me help leaders and organizations really devise strategies and processes and tactics that help them achieve the results that they truly desire.
So I feel that it's that it's really critical to the field to keep the program alive and moving forward. So I think I'm really passionately motivated because I'm passionately committed to the field of adult education.